Hello, welcome. My name is John Skippy Limcool. My gosh, Unify 1.2 is here, and I want to show you what we have to play with. To start with, did you see I just loaded 4 patches so quickly? No audio glitching, and some of these patches are like rather complex what's going on. This one is 2 wave sequences. Here's Wavesequence 1, Wavesequence 2. Then in the opening, what I did is I just control click or right click on Vocoder Mono 1 and add that as a new Unify layer. There it is. And then I went down here and I control click or right click on this and say add Vocoder Stereo 2. So this is 2 different vocoder patches combined with a Wavesequencing patch. And then I added one more Grandioso introduction. Right click and that's the fun. You can just simply right click to add other Unify patches into itself. That's something really special to Unify. Most things can't work that way. So to start with, let's talk about wave sequencing. Unify gives us just a glimpse of wave sequencing. More capabilities will come in the future. This is an area we want to explore for sure some more. But rhythmic wave sequencing in a different way is available. And it's really, really fun. Here, let's turn off Pump House so you hear it without any rhythmic help. It's just... right? And if I go to MIDIBox and I say I need this to be any other kind of, let's say a kalimba. Now it's playing with that timing value. In fact, I could go to my sequencer. I could come up here and I could go. The timing I played in a MIDI file is now triggering the changing of layers. Super cool. I'm going to do a separate video getting deeper into this because there's a whole lot of places you can go with this. But that capability is totally unique. Before this, all the wave sequencing I've done before Unify has been to something that's a perfectly quantized timing grid. There's no percentage, there's no any chance to put any feel except for just straight calculated timing events. With MIDIBox, you can make any MIDI file with any timing feel you want, and now have that be what plays layers. And then, this is what gets me really excited. Each of these layers could be a completely different synth from your plugins. So I could say I want to have Serum, I want to have Zebra, and I want to have Hive. And then I want FM8. And these are just the stock patches, so it's not going to sound very exciting. But just like that, I have changed to where 4 of these 5 layers are different synths that I own, different plugins. So you can use any plugins you own. I could go over here to the Serum part and say, I want this to be from my reverbs. I want it to be vintage verb. And so any synths and any audio effects can be used in wave sequencing. This is groundbreaking stuff. I am so excited. So that part of Unify is really, really cool. And it gets even deeper because we haven't gone to the new thing, which is ComboBox. Before we do that, ComboBox is coming right up. I want to talk one more second about MIDIBox because we did something really cool with MIDIBox as well. We made it so it's polyphonic. In the past, even with the 1.1, if you type 1.1 in the search and you come down here and you'd see poly from MIDI files, right? If you call this up, it's using 8 layers to be 8 voice polyphonic, right? Right? Well, thanks to Shane updating MIDIBox, I can hold down Option and click Init. That's a shortcut to erase everything but the first layer. And all I need to do is go into PolyBox and say I don't need you anymore. So we don't have to use PolyBox to do this. We go back to raw MIDI in and just open MIDIBox, and right here where it says key transpose, change it to polyphonic transpose. And now you're doing it. So between one update and another update, what used to require 8 layers now just requires 1. And the MIDIBox that could only play a single note and go transpose on the keyboard, play a chord and it wouldn't do anything. Now we have the ability with polytranspose to play chords. As many notes as you want to play, it will spit out MIDI events for each of the notes that you have in your MIDI file. Groundbreaking stuff, super exciting. So that was updated. That's huge. So come up here and type 1.2 and you get to ComboBox. So ComboBox was created by request from Jeff Stradling. Jeff is working on a library for the Spitfire Discover BBC Symphony Orchestra. He needed something to do something for MIDI. And Shane was like, well, I think I can see other applications for what he's asking for. So he made it so it can show up inside of a MIDI effects slot. If we go over here to utility, ComboBox shows up. If you go to the instrument level and you choose utility here, there's ComboBox here. And audio effects, you can also go to utility and ComboBox shows up here. So this one effect is available in MIDI effects to do things, as an instrument, which means it can have access to everything, and an audio effect. So you could be used to layer different effects to do cool chaining of effects with a cool graphical interface, right? So because of the development to help, and I'll show you in a minute what we did for DiscoverStation, but because of that, check this out. The concept for ComboBox is pretty straightforward in that you can right click and you can choose any MIDI effect, any instrument, or any audio effect that you have installed and operating on your computer. If you go down here to the little plugin icon, this is where you choose scan all your VST plugins, and now all your VST plugins are available to Unify. By doing that, ComboBox has access to them to be used in cool ways. Now, the presets I set up for the standard library, of course, don't require anything else, just the factory content. But you can add your own effects into this environment as well. Because the whole idea with everything in Unify is to give you places to learn and play and have fun with all of your plugins. Keep them fresh and new and do fun things. So what we're doing here is on the left side, we have a MIDIBox playing a drum MIDI file, right? And it's going into a drum set of samples, of drum samples inside a groove sampler. And then that audio is being fed into Vocoder. And on the other side is a secondary groove sampler. And this is the synth sound. So when I play chords, because the vocoder it's a series of filters, and they only go up and let sound through from the right side, from this guy, when audio of similar matching frequencies happens on this side. So if you're talking, now you can hear talking. If it's a drum groove, now it's playing a drum groove when there's frequencies from the drum groove. And if you go to Guru's sampler that's doing the drums and change their sounds, tune them up and down, this all changes the sound. You can even go to the vocoder and change parameters. Right? And then on top of that, you can go to the Guru sampler that's called the carrier side, and it's currently playing a big synth sound, right? I could change this to be anything else. And the sound changes so that wherever there's sounds that match the modulator side, when they hit the carrier side, you get to hear them. So you can do really cool things. Drum grooves. If we go over here, there's even me talking. I said, welcome to Unify. The future is here, my friends.
Welcome to Unify.
And you can play it.
The future is here, my friends. Welcome to Unify. The future is here, my friends.
So you can play and interact even with talking, record audio files, load them in, and now you're playing audio files of so forth. We did add an additional effect to Unify called the audio file player. And with this, you have access to any audio file on your hard drive. It can be powering a vocoder patch. So it's pretty cool.
Welcome to Unify.
The second one.
The future is here, my friend.
Hear how it's wider? That's because we're using two vocoders, one for the left and one for the right. So we have true stereo vocoding in ComboBox. So ComboBox is useful for this kind of stuff. Down here are where I'm like saying E and I and ah, and I can play like a vocoder. Right? You can go to the knobs and you can change the settings. We added an additional audio effect to Unify, and that is a rock guitar effect. So here, let's go to velocity rack. Right? Now, Swanky amp is a killer little amp simulator effect. I showed this in a live stream. We do a live stream every Saturday, by the way, 12 o'clock p.m. LA time. For 90 minutes, I'm hanging out at my channel. So come say hi if you want. But we showed this as a free effect, and it's still free if you go to ResonantDSP.com. We've started a conversation with a friendship over email with the creator of this. And he's really cool. And we said, we'd love to have this included into Unify. And he said, sure. So it's there to play with. It can be used in really cool ways. Here it is with the Martin acoustic guitar. That's in Unify. There's dry signal, and then I'm also using auxiliary buses for distorted. I could turn down the direct, and now it's just the distorted. And here it is with a pad. So we have nice big pads with it. So all sorts of fun things have been added. On top of that, check this out. We've had 3 months since Unify 1.1 came out. So ComboBox, Swanky amp, we have a sample delay plugin for stereo sample delay. Up to 10,000 samples left or right can be offset. The audio file player. We have 2 different ways of using the patch database. If you just click this, it's faster now. Much, much, much faster. For a lot of you that don't have SSD hard drives and so forth, if nothing is moved from your patches folder, then it doesn't need to scan it again. It's smart. If you add new things, those are flagged and those will be scanned, and so it works really well. Now, if you want, you can hold down Option or Alt and click for it to do a full scan where it looks at every file from top to bottom. And so even if it's been not moved, it will rescan it again. But it's slower for some of you that once you get a whole bunch of libraries going, it does slow down. So we added that ability. Let's keep going on our list. MIDIFilter has been seriously updated. Maybe this would be a good minute to talk about DiscoverStation. We're working really hard to get this library out. It's so deep. There's very, very deep water here to swim in. Jeff Stradling actually is the main powerhouse behind this library. He's doing some incredible things. And he's the one that actually requested what ended up being ComboBox, because he's doing things with MIDI files and he wanted to do sequences of, like, say, strings, and each octave could be playing a different part. So play another octave. Here, let's get the keys so you can up octave higher, 2 octaves. Different sounds, different MIDI files. To do that, we needed to do some tricky things with MIDI, basically. And so he requested us to create something where he could have different areas of the keyboard listening to different MIDI files. And so we have this ability now with MIDI filtering, and you can transpose and you have key ranges so that each one of these works to have a different key range that's talking to a different MIDI file. So that way we can, if you go to even like the Celeste elements, here's another example where we have 4 different areas on the keyboard and 4 different MIDI files. So each octave can play different things. So MIDIFilter was seriously upgraded to accommodate what we needed to do for DiscoverStation. It's funny how our libraries that we build power what we want to do for Unify. That's kind of our driving factor. For Cloud City to come out, I needed MIDI files to be able to be played and interacted and stuff. So I wanted to make my own grooves. So we made MIDIBox. And then we used Jitterbox because I needed it to not be perfect timing. And so in this case, we needed something to expand MIDI for playing different things on the keyboard. And so we needed to upgrade the MIDI filter, and we needed to create a whole new effect called ComboBox. So I'm a library creator. I like to make libraries. That's how I've made my living since 2009 at pluginguru.com. And so that's what drives what we do for Unify, is things that will power our libraries to do new capabilities. Like I have libraries that haven't been made yet because certain things haven't been added to Unify. So once we get to where we add things to Unify, then these libraries I want to make can be realized. So that's what drives us for Unify. You get the benefits because of this development, right? So we're working on some really cool things, but the MIDI filter had to be seriously upgraded and ComboBox had to be created so that we could do what I just showed you, right? This is a small thing, but it's still pretty cool. If you're going through the patches and you're using the arrow up and down, you can use the F key on your computer to turn on favorites, to hit the little hearts. And then when you hit the little favorite up here, it shows just the ones that you have favorited. So you can go through and favorite your favorite patches throughout all the libraries, okay? So that's a new thing we've added. Macro knobs, we have updated those to where there are now 32, 4 different sets of 8 knobs. So you have 32 knobs to work with, okay? And then we also did key range zones. This is a really nice one because in the past, when you went to hit the key range, it popped up this big display. And I wanted something sleeker and faster and more efficient. So we worked where it's just now a question mark. And what's cool is you just play a note and the question mark goes away. On top of that, check this out. Question mark can be used in multiple fields. So I could say I want all 4 of these to be there. I can say I want all these to be played on just one note. So by doing this and then playing, say, C in the middle, C3, that works. So you can make key zones in so many different ways now. Let's review. You've got key zones by playing keys and just, I see this like that. You can right click or control click to change the key zones up here like this. And picture this is divided into thirds. If you click in the middle, you can actually move the whole area up and down. If you hold down Control and Option and then use your right mouse button, you can use fades, which this is all velocity control. That's the only way we control volume is through velocity. So you have to make sure whatever is set to this, if it's not listening to velocity, then this won't change it any. But if you have good velocity sensitivity, you'll notice the fades really nicely for like fading between like certain horn sections. We're using it in DiscoverStation a lot. Also, if you hold down Control and Shift, you can actually add curvature to the fade. So if you want, you can right click and say, see, I need to like maybe make this a little bit longer. Right click, I see I need to first go like this and then by Control Option. So you can make it so that they fit just perfectly how you want with the exact curvature that you want. So there's that way. And then if you want to get back to the old way of having that big pop-up, just hold down Option or Alt. And when you click, you get the big, and it stays up until you decide you want it to go away, and then you hit the X to make it go away. But the new way is much faster. You just set the notes and you hit, and it's done. It goes away right away. So I needed that to be faster, more sleek for power programming. So there you go. MIDIBox, I showed you. We've got Transpose. You can also now drag and drop. So let's get Logic up here. Let's say that we're in the standard library 1.2. And we want to use this vocoder patch, right? And I have a drum groove here playing already. But if you wanted a different drum groove inside of your sequencer to play at the same time, simply go into ComboBox. This is the MIDI box that's powering the whole thing. And if you click right here and drag, I can drag this MIDI file now into Logic. And it will say, hey, there it is. So now I could have a different instrument playing this MIDI file at the same time. That this is also a quick way to get that in, edit, change, fix something, and resave it as a new MIDI file, okay? So that capability has been added to Unify. PolyBox, I showed you the wave sequencing with this really cool ability right here to just go to PolyBox and change it from mono to chord with AR, which is automatic reset, which is this button right here. And what that means is each time you take your hand off keys, it will reset. Okay. Now I'm going to do in-depth detailed videos. So this is just an overview to give you a quick idea of what we have. More details will be coming. OBXd Skins. There's new updates to OBXd and to DXd. We haven't implemented them into Unify. To be honest, there's some nice MIDI learn and other capabilities, but nothing changed to the sound engine. It's the same sound engine and the same parameters. So none of that has changed. It's just capabilities with MIDI learn and stuff like that. So instead, what I did is I made some new skins. So you have a blue skin, you have pink and purple to go along with our modified green skin, which is the default one that we typically have set when you first power up Unify. But there's additional skins you can right click or control click and choose if you want. So those are available to you to enjoy. We are starting to work on support for other keyboard controllers. There's an area inside of the folder for Unify. We have the MIDI controller files, and here's where you have access to text files for mapping parameters so that you can get solo and mute and so forth to work from a Nano Control or other keyboard controllers. It's experimental. It's something we're developing. We'll keep developing. So that's it. I want to point out that with these 32 added patches that are inside of Unify, that brings it up to a grand total of 537 patches inside of Unify. And no charge. It's a free update. So log into your account at pluginguru.com or come to pluginguru.com and buy Unify. It's always on sale for $79. Like I said, we'll be bringing out some cool support videos on some of these abilities next. So we'll see you in the next video, okay? Cheers. Bye.